Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for coming out. My name's Joe Diaz. We're going to get started with our program. So first, I want to bring up the lead organizer of the event. She had thought of this idea in the beginning of this year, and with a lot of hard work and a lot of time and sacrifice on her end, we're here today. So I want to introduce her and have her come up and welcome you all, Chris Perry Long.
Hi, everybody. So I've been really thinking a lot about what I need to say. It's not going to make it better for those that have lost, but it's important that you know that their lives matter. They still matter. And it's important that you know that we're going to keep fighting to end this epidemic. These flags that are on this common represent somebody's child. I have 5 kids. Gratefully, none of these flags represent my children. I'm grateful for that. But I have lots of moms and families who have a flag, or maybe 2, or maybe 3 flags. I don't really have anything else to say. I just want to say thank you for coming, and I hope the message here, can change maybe somebody's life. All right. Father Ed's going to give us a blessing, and then we're going to begin. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you.
Just a chance to gather in prayer. Whether you're a believer or not a believer, it's time to just create some space in the midst of this very powerful display, not only of flags, but also of community coming together. Overdoses are really an act of disconnection. Tragedy, hard, and the loss is very, very significant. Coming together in community, coming together in prayer, provides the antidote to disconnection, which is connection and community. So let us pray. Bearer of our burdens and grief, we come to you in grieving, with broken hearts over our loved ones who have been lost to overdose. Our sorrow knows no depths as we consider the preciousness of the lives lost and the cruelty and pain of addiction. Each flag on this common reminds us of a beloved creation of God, taken far too soon from us, and we are equally reminded of those who are left behind. Draw those who have died closer to yourself. Heal, restore, and bring wholeness to each and every one of them. Help those who are left behind. So many of us have been robbed of huge pieces of our own lives and future by this merciless disease. Despite our sorrow, each of us here prays and chooses life. We choose to affirm the goodness and sacredness of the life of our loved ones. We acknowledge their worth and their dignity in your sight, and we hold on to each and every one of them, even through the pain and through the grief. We pray that you will remove all traces of guilt, regret, shame from our hearts and our minds. We pray for your forgiveness and mercy over every difficult incident between us and our loved ones that was caused by addiction. You know the road we have walked, and how often we have felt that we should be doing just one more thing to help prevent, to rescue, to stop death. We pray that you will give us the ability to honor the memory of our loved ones, here represented by these flags, that we might celebrate their victories, big and small. Help us to memorialize the enormous accomplishment of their ability to live under the heavy burden of addiction. We stand on the promise that at the time of these terrible losses, that you were indeed with each and every one of them in their final hours in ways that go beyond our understanding. May that be some comfort to us. We pray for those who continue to suffer with addiction. If you are here among us, know that you are not alone and that there is help. We pray for those in recovery. May you extend the hand of recovery to those in need. And so, dear God, heal all of us of our yesterdays, strengthen and sustain us today, and enlighten all of our tomorrows with your presence. Amen.
All right. So we're going to bring up our first speaker. I want to introduce Senator Paul Feeney.
Good morning, everyone. It's tough as a policymaker to come to events like this and to try and find the words. To try and find the right words that strike a balance, to honor the memory of your loved ones, those that have lost, those that stand with us today, showing outward emotion and crying and weeping, and those that feel in the depths of their own hearts and your souls for people that have been lost, or those caught in the grip of addiction right now. It's tough to find those words, so we rely on other things. Rely on visuals, and what a visual this is. Last week as the flags were placed, and I want to thank, by the way, Chris Long for bringing us together and the JCs for this event, and my staff came out last week to help with the flags. And later that afternoon, my wife Laura and I came up to the common to kind of look at the flags and to think about what they represent. And as we come here today to talk about what has hurt us and what we need to do to heal us, we look out at these flags and understand that each one of these flags, although it's a striking, powerful image and visual, that each one has a story. That each of these flags represents a loved one, somebody that had hope, somebody that had a life to live, somebody that had family and friends that cared about them. And we look at these flags not just as a collective visual, but at each of these flags as individuals. Because all too often when we talk about, especially when we talk about policy, when we talk about the opioid crisis or addiction, just words. But not until we dig deep and understand that what those words represent and who they represent. That the opioid crisis, that addiction, that mental health issues, depression, substance abuse, it knows no bounds. And in a community like Foxboro, we hurt, but we also need to heal. And we look at these flags and we hear the words that we're going to hear today, the beautiful words from Father Ed. We have to remember that although today we mourn, although today we feel, that it's more than just allowing somberness and sadness to carry the day. That it's up to us to then provide hope and maybe some inspiration, maybe a helping hand to the next person, so that these beautiful faces that are in front of me in these pictures, so that we can tell everybody that their lives matter, that we not only remember them, but we're going to stop the next one, that we're going to reach out our hand and stop the next one, that it's not enough to just talk about it, but as Father Ed said and as Chris said, we need to act. If I could borrow from my own faith for a moment, one of my favorite quotes comes from St. Francis, and I repeat it often because it's been a driving mantra for me for a long time. And St. Francis said to the faithful to preach the gospel always, but only when necessary to use words. Think about that. Preach, but only when necessary to use words. Now, I say that not in a religious sense, but I say it because St. Francis understood that faith was more often caught than taught, that our actions speak a heck of a lot louder than our words. And again, putting aside religion, but understanding that it's our actions that speak a heck of a lot louder than our words in all things that we do. We're going to hear words today. We're going to do our best to remember. We're going to do our best to capture this moment in what we say. But as we leave here, it is so important that we act. We act. Whether we do it in our own homes, in our workplaces, or like we are today in our community, to come together to reach out, to let somebody know that when they want that moment of clarity, that we are there for them, that we are there, that there's no judgment, that we're just going to help. That's what today is about. It's about remembering. It's about honoring. It's about letting each of you know that this community stands with you. It's about looking up and letting them know that their lives mattered. So when we leave here today, let's use these words as a call to action. Let's reach out. Let's help. Let's come together as a community. Let's end this deadly scourge. And only when necessary, let's use words. Thank you, and God bless each of you.
Thank you very much, Senator. So I want to bring up our next speaker, good friend of mine. She actually lost her son to substance abuse, so I'd like to bring up Carmen Dwyer.
Wow, I don't know where to begin. I'm here to share my story, my son's story, and my hope is that I can reach every single one of you, whether you're a parent, somebody struggling. A thank you to our first responders, just everybody here in my presence right now. I hope that I can send a message and I can share with you my 13 years of struggle with my son. I'm going to read because I'm afraid I'm going to miss something important that I wrote to be able to reach out to every single one of you. I never dreamed that I would be this parent up here. I never wanted to be this parent, but I am. Michael was a kind, caring, loving, gentle soul. He touched many lives through his smile, his witty jokes, caring and giving heart. He was a non-judgmental being and believed everyone was a good person and had a good heart. He was natural with his music and songwriting. He recorded and performed. He used his music to share his pain and his suffering and his struggles in life. Michael started very young, at about age 12, with pot. Made him feel better. That's when it all started. He was diagnosed with ADHD at a very young age, at age 5. I didn't know anything about pot. So naive. He started acting out in school and getting in trouble, and I just could not understand. He was such a loving, kind, and respectful boy at home. How could this be? Fast forward to the summer of 2009, I remember exactly where I was when I got that first phone call. It came from one of his friends, Carmen. We're worried about Michael. He's been using pills and he's using it out of control, and we're afraid something is going to happen to him. Wow. I didn't even know what hit me. When I got that call, what do you mean, pills? Like, what are pills? What is going on? What's his problem? I became a frantic parent, not knowing. I questioned him. Of course he denied everything. I got this, Mom. It's just pills. It just makes me feel good. Well, it was exactly like that. I started to see him go downhill, missing calls, coming home late, not checking in like he always did. Our relationship was strong and we had a special bond. How did I miss those signs? How did I not see this coming? I had no idea where to turn and where to go. I was scared, not knowing anything about drugs. Was there support? How do I save my son? Then I was introduced to a friend who had some sober houses, and he came over and spoke with my son and I, and that was the beginning of my son's struggle. We put him in detox. I thought he was going to be saved. 7 days. I thought he was going to be okay. Little did I know that it was going to be 13 years of this. I was able to connect with amazing groups and support. I would go to support meetings and listen to everybody. And at this time, I was only dealing with pills, and people were talking about heroin and cocaine and this and that, and I was just so naive. I had no idea. I was lost and confused. But I started to learn and connect with others. I learned that I was not alone. I met some amazing women through the support groups that became my rock. And Chris Perry Long was one of them. She was there through everything. Susan Silva was also another one who taught me boundaries and how to love, let go. I'm supposed to protect my child. How do I love and let go? I became desperate. I started to do more research, and I found another group. And I just continued to surround myself with so many different groups, and every group made a difference, an impact on my life. And I became stronger, more aware of what was going on with my son. Michael went through so many detoxes, so many treatment facilities, halfway houses. He traveled. I sent him to Arizona, South Carolina. I was desperate. I wanted my son. I lost my son, but I wanted him. In June 2015, Michael announced that he was having a baby girl. I nearly fell off my chair. There's no way. How can you have a child? You can barely take care of yourself. I was petrified, not only for Michael, because I knew the stresses, he couldn't even handle life. I was afraid for him, but also for the child, because I learned that it can be a family disease, that it's hereditary. And so what chance does my granddaughter have if I'm not able to protect her? Michael was adamant about having this child, and he spent 9 months in jail to get his record clean and done with probation so he could focus on being a father to his child. There was hope for the first time in years for both of us. His eyes lit up like a shining star. I was so proud of him. I supported his decision. He was to serve 9 months, but the baby was due March, and he had to be there, so he worked his way and earned extra time off. And sure enough, he was out just in time for the baby. God, I was so proud of him. He worked so hard, and he believed this was going to change him, make him a better person. Sadly, that only lasted 2 weeks. He never gave up, though. Every time he fell, he got right back up. He's my hero today. He showed me to love, to not judge, to be compassionate, to give, to care. I don't know that I could be this person that I am today if it wasn't for my son's struggles. He wanted a normal life. He wanted to be a good father, a good citizen, a good friend, a good son. But his mind was always on overload every single day. He just could never live in the moment. I would beg him to find a higher power, to be committed to what he needed to do to keep clean and sober. And he would. When he did do the steps when he was committed, when he's surrounded with a community that could help him and strengthen him. He was amazing, and he saw life, he saw an opportunity. But sadly, he could never get a hold of it long enough. Never. I would beg him to please not let me be that mom. Don't be a statistic. Michael didn't get to spend much time with his daughter because he was in and out of rehabs far too often. More so since she was born than ever. It was like a 45-day cycle. March 10th, 2019, I picked up my son from serving 60 days. You see, he was out in the streets in Boston in the dead of winter, and I prayed to God to keep my son safe. And I prayed, God, I'm ready. If you want him, just take him, because I can't take this pain anymore, nor can he. Well, God answered my prayers. The police officers picked him up and brought him to safety, and he was safe for 60 days. So thank you for being there. I picked him up, and we drove home, and he said, Mom, I can't do this anymore. If I use one more time, I'm going to die. I looked over at him and I said, yeah, buddy, you've used your 9 lives. Little did I know that April 3rd, my son took his last breath. He was in a sober house. He had just got back from a meeting. I didn't learn about his passing until the following day. The hospital never called me. But the first responders and the medical team at the hospital, I want to thank them for giving my son a moment of silence, giving him the respect as a human being. You see, I had a friend that was in the same room right next to my son, and she reached out to me to tell me that my son did not die alone. So I had 2 choices to make. Be upset the fact that the hospital didn't call me, or be grateful that my son died and not alone. That brings me comfort. It is through the grace of God I am here today to share my son's story. Michael is my life, my light. He taught me a lot in the 13 years. I never thought I could survive this tragedy, but my will and faith in God has given me strength every day. My faith is stronger than my brokenness. I don't know what my purpose may be. I'm going to wait patiently and wait on God's timing. I am here because my son's story doesn't end. I am here because your story doesn't have to end either. Whether you are struggling or a parent who is lost and feels alone or in despair, I am, and many others, are living proof that there is still hope. There is life and there is light. Be kind to yourselves, be grateful, and have faith. But more importantly, cast your troubles to God and pray He guides you and protects you from all evils. Michael, Anthony, Richmond, and all our loved ones, their lives matter, and we will continue to fight this fight in their honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carmen, for sharing. Our next speaker. So our next speaker, sorry, just waiting for the sirens to go by. Our next speaker also has a very direct connection to this epidemic. He is a 20-year member of the New England Patriots staff. Please help me welcome Lenny Henses.
Morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. I'm glad to see such a great crowd, but I'm also sad for the reason that you're all here. I'm not a speaker, and I don't pretend to be one, but I'm a helper, and I'd like to help as many people end this disease as we can. I've been involved with this disease called a substance use disorder for over 27 years. 24 with my son. He used crack when he started when he was 16, and he kept using it, and that was his trick. It didn't seem to bother him too much. He would act like a 16-year-old even when he was 35, until 3 years ago when he decided crack wasn't enough. He was going to try heroin for one time, and the one time was the last time. So we've been going through it a lot, and I look around, there's too many flags here representing too many lives. There's too many people here that could have done so much for future life in the world. We don't know what their accomplishments could have been. No one wants to take the responsibility for this. It's a not me syndrome. It's many families think they caused the problem, but they didn't cause the problem. And others finally say, oh gosh, not my family, not me. It's not gonna ever happen. Wrong, it touches too many people. Myself, for example, I've lived in Foxboro for 24 years. We just recently moved down to Rentham, a few miles down the road. And I've been a member of the New England Patriots going on now 20 years. This is the 20th season. What a great life I've got. Wrong. You know, it touched me. And then it touches so many people that I deal with. The disease has no boundaries. You know, it'll affect everybody, and then it trickles down to so many other people. Like my relatives, or my sister, or my wife's sister, brother. You know, it hits everybody, not just the person that is affected. Sorry. I love Lenny very much, and I always will. You know, I wish I had been better educated down the road to know how not to help him. It seemed like the more you want to help, the more it hurts. I would give him anything he wanted, you know, and then he would basically say, I want more. And the more I gave him, the more he took, the more he hurt, and I'd come back and give him some more. How silly is that? You're basically enabling the person, but you don't realize it because there was no education out there to help people learn how to do the right thing, and maybe not give them that. Let them fight on their own, and they might see the light. By helping them, you're making it worse. Our lives, my wife Joanne, Len's stepmom, and mine has changed dramatically. We just don't know. We travel down the road now so much differently. We have joined a support group that we visit weekly, which is Learn to Cope, to help families cope with this disease. Not the person who has the disease, but the families and friends and people that it affects because of the disease. And we've also joined a support group for grief support. And it's just so hard to see how many flags are out there that all this grief has caused. The only one of the shining lights is we met our grandson, Len's son, at his funeral. He was 13 years old. Lenny died at 40, and he's now 16. And he's part of our life. And that's the rainbow at the end of this terrible storm. You know, he's just so full of life, and the sad part and happy part, he looks just like his father and acts just like his father as a kid. Joanne never met that kid. He was the happy-go-lucky kid, the funny kid that everybody has, until the disease took over, and now the devil got in him, and the little kid was on the back burner, and the devil took over, as with everybody else. That's what you're out there fighting against. It's not your son, not your daughter, your mother, your sister, your brother. It's the devil inside it making all those words come out and looking like someone you don't know. It's really not your relative. It's the disease that's causing the problem. Many families go up on a roller coaster ride, like it was already spoke of. You know, is this the time that the relative or friend is going to actually make it? Or is it the time the shoe is going to fall and they're going to get back onto the disease? Or worse, is it when they won't survive at all? Here we go. The one thing my wife and I don't have to worry about right now is the late night phone calls asking for money, and the enabler, me, the king enabler, would run down to the closest store I could find for Western Union and mail him money, which enabled him again. We don't wake up in the morning and I see a TV show or a news report that says, the police are looking for this man. Do you know who he is? And I'm fearing my son's face will come up on the television. You know, it's just, or even going to drug buys with him. There were a few times he'd say, I need $40. It seems to be $40 is the magic number, it seems, for get my phone back, and drive to a house in Worcester on Main Street. He'd go in the front door and we'd be sitting out in the front. Half hour later, wondering where the heck he is. He went out the back door because he bought his drugs and took off. And we're not dealing with that anymore. And the stress that most people have has been pointed out. The up and down roller coaster ride hurts so many other people, and it's all because of greed. You know, it's just, it hurts every day not having him, and it's not a day that goes through that the pain of a family doesn't have it, and it's an endless pain. You know, the endless pain for people who actually have to go through it day by day by day. Our endless pain is kind of passed away in that respect, but the pain is still there. But the pain of not knowing is even worse. It's difficult to say no because in your heart you really want to say yes. You want to say yes. It's your parental instinct. You want to give them anything or protect them. And it's very hard to say no, but you have to say no at times. Because if you don't, you're just enabling them, and it can make their life harder to get a cure as opposed to making it easier. One last. Until we all get together to stop this source of this growing garden of flags, which there's over 8,000 here, and to put it in perspective, it's almost, if not more, half the population of Foxboro. Put that in perspective when you're trying to give out a story of how it affects so many people. And it's not just the 8,000 who had so much to give to the world. It's the other people that they affect, the mothers, the fathers, sisters, brothers, that they left behind. These flags, again, represent so many people, and who knows what accomplishment they would have accomplished in the world and helped the world to be a better place. And it's so sad to see people profit from the lives of others. And that is just so earth-shattering. And I'll leave you with, hopefully, sometime soon, the world will have a drug drought. And this garden of flags that's all around here will dry up and never grow again. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much, Lenny. So our next speaker is going to be sharing. He's going to be speaking and sharing some of his poetry. He's a longtime member of the recovery community, the executive director of Banyan Treatment Center. Please help me welcome Matt Gannum.
How's it going? My name is Matt Gainem. I'm a grateful recovering heroin addict. On April 21st, I celebrated 13 years in recovery. It's an honor to be up here, and today is like a really difficult day for me. 15 years ago today, I lost my best friend to a suicide because of his addiction. Unfortunately, he's not considered a statistic with the overdoses over the past years, because all we focus on with these deaths is just the overdoses, not the suicides, not the complications from the disease. There's a lot of other people that pass away through other circumstances. The feedback in this mic is a little tough, but there's a lot of other people that are passing away through different ways other than just overdoses. There's endocarditis, there's diseases, there's suicides, there's accidents that are drug related. It's just really, it's really tough. And to stand here, like I've been going through all these different emotions since I woke up, rehashing what happened 15 years ago. And that's 15 years of life he will never have. You know what I mean? Each flag represents somebody that doesn't get to experience the rest of their life, that doesn't get to experience the joys of like having kids, marriages, relationships, rebuilding burnt bridges, right? Because I'm grateful I'm in recovery, and part of my recovery is I was able to regain the relationship with my mother and my father. I have two beautiful, beautiful kids. I got a handsome little man, and I got a 6-year-old daughter that's the devil. But neither one of them has ever seen me get high, and I get to be present in their life on a day in and day out basis. And it's something that like I cherish, because I look at like my best friend James Slattery that passed away, like he'll never get to experience that. And I know he's looking down, just like every single one of our friends, of your sons, your daughters, or your brothers, your sisters. They have a front row seat to your life, and they're always with you, sitting in your heart. It's just the fact that they don't get to experience that, and that's what like really hits me. And it's been really hitting me today that like the past 15 years my best friend didn't get to experience. And on a day like this, I get to stand up, I get to share what is hopefully a little bit of hope, and I'll share a little bit of poetry with you guys. But through recovery, I've been able to live like a life that's second to none. You know, I talked about my two kids. In 2012, I put a book out. I went through 4 different high schools in 2 states because I was a classy kid growing up. And I put out a book. I'm a business owner. I brought a treatment center to Massachusetts. I built Banyan Treatment Center. I own a couple of sober houses. I've been able to like try to be a positive influence in the recovery community with the hope that I can inspire, whether it's a mother to have a little bit of hope for their son that's struggling, whether if it's somebody that's out there who is struggling with using that doesn't have hope. You know, I'm here to try to give you guys the example that you don't have to be a flag. You don't have to be another statistic. You don't have to get caught in this vicious cycle and never step out of it. Like, there is hope if you just give yourself a chance. If you put your best foot forward, reach out for help, and try to like turn your life around, like life is a beautiful thing on this side of recovery. And one of the things is I don't ever forget the fact that I was a homeless IV heroin user in Boston. I don't ever forget that nobody would pick up the phone for me, that I couldn't even talk to my mother or father because they knew everything that came out of my mouth was a lie. Because that's what happens when you're using. You tug on the heartstrings of your families and your friends, and you try to manipulate them over the fact that like the drug is the most important thing. Getting high was more important than absolutely anything. And I'm very blessed that I was able to have that moment of clarity, turn my life around. And I stand here before you guys with 13 years in recovery, with 2 beautiful kids, friendships that I cherish, standing side by side with some amazing people. Chris Perry Long, like, thank you for having me up here. Me and Chris go back. And I want everybody to give a loud round of applause for the speakers before me, because it takes a lot of courage to get up here and like share your most vulnerable scars, to share like pain that's unimaginable. And they do that with the hope that like anybody out there that's going through it, that you know that you're not alone, and that you can go to each and every one of them and they will be there to help you. Like, that's one of the things for recovery, is that people in recovery is built off connection. And if somebody's struggling, you can go to that next person and say, hey, I need help. Hey, I need somebody to talk to. And that's the same thing with families that are going through it. If you have a son or you have a daughter that's struggling, like, find somebody that's gone through it with you so you have somebody side by side in the trenches with you. But I'm going to share a couple poems with you guys, if that's all right. No, that's cool. I can walk off stage. So I wrote this piece called The Broken System. And I wrote this in 2014. They closed the bridge down, which cut off 680 treatment beds. That was detox, CSS, TSS, pre-release, family shelters, and a juvenile program. And all of a sudden, since the day they closed down that bridge, the overdose rate has like consistently grown. The amount of people dying in Massachusetts since that day, mix in with how rampant fentanyl is in the streets, a lot of people have passed away due to it. And there's nothing more frustrating for me when somebody would call me desperately trying to get a detox bed. They get it, but then there's no beds after, and they get sent right back to the same circumstances. You know, this disease kills thousands and thousands and thousands of people a year, right? Yet we are the most undervalued demographic of people out there. Ebola affected like 4 people, and billions of dollars were raised to try to combat that. Yes, yet heroin, opioid overdoses affects thousands of people a year, and we're still underfunded. There's still not enough services for people. So I wrote this piece as a rant on just the frustrations with the system. When I got high, it was to escape the pain of hurting. Explaining addiction to a normal person is like a woman with no kids explaining the pain of birthing. Let me break it down to you. Those 4 to 5 day spin washes aren't working. We need to scrap the Massachusetts model of treatment and come up with a better version. Because these suits and ties would rather close their curtains, ignoring the state's overdose rate is continuously surging. These politicians must be living in a fairy tale. At times trying to get into a detox like a dog chases its own tail. The system is set up for us to fail to the point. Sometimes it's easier to go detox in jail. Call the programs up to here, we got no beds. Then when you do get into detox, they load you up with enough meds until the entire unit looks like a night of the living dead. A 4 to 5 day escape from the day to day. A safe place to stay. But there's no beds in aftercare program, so the decision gets made to hand you a list and send you on your way. Back to the same old same, like those 4 days is gonna fix the years of pain, years of strain, years of sniffing pills to push your poison in your veins. Addiction is like a ball and chain, a slave whenever it calls your name, weighing you down until it buries you in the grave. And then when you do hit the streets, further treatment is just out of reach. So you keep a dirty urine instead of being clean. Recovery's only seen in the better parts of your dreams. Living the nightmare, transforming into a fiend. And there's not a soul alive that can hear you scream. But you know what you need. Even though the sickness got a trick up its sleeve, it starts whispering in your ear till you start to believe that you got a grip. You can handle your disease till they find your buddy dead with an empty IV. Another number, another statistic added to the thousands this year. One thing remains clear as I bury more and more of my peers, that most people out there, they don't really care until it's one of their loved ones added to the prayers. A Facebook wall flooded with love. Rants of raves about how we all hate this drug. I think it's getting a little too overcrowded up above. Heaven needs to stop taking my people. The origins of this epidemic are see-through. Pharmaceutical companies gave birth to a generation addicted to the needle. Legal drug dealing doctors influenced by money is pure evil. Flood the streets of painkillers, then you pull them off the market. They make it easier to transition into heroin when the withdrawals hit the hardest. I don't even think we face the worst part of it. I sit here with a heavy soul, broken-hearted, praying for the daily departed, and that those that are lost will find their light inside of the darkness, coming out clean on the other side. I want to spark a rallying cry that might save a few lives. Every day another angel flies while an entire community prays for their goodbyes. All I can do is try to prove to you that it's worth staying alive. All right, so that was my frustration on how bad the system is and what it does. And one of the examples I want to do by giving you a piece like that is for the people to stand up and speak out, right? Because change doesn't happen unless we have that loud voice. And unfortunately, due to stigma, a lot of us can't speak out. A lot of us, out of fear of losing our jobs, of judgment, we don't have the ability, right? But you know who does is the families, right? The families go out. You guys raise a stink up at the State House. to your local politicians, if you guys raise your voices, then we're going to have to inspire change that way. Because all I know is, like, looking at the statistics year in and year out, it doesn't look like it's getting any better. And though I see more and more people taking that step into recovery, we're still losing people at such an alarming rate. And that, like, is a call to action to you guys to please, like, use your voice, speak out, talk to your schools, get in at a younger age to try to educate them. We're losing a generation. A generation is dying off due to this epidemic, and it starts at the kids, at the middle school age. We can talk about sex with them, but we can't talk about drug prevention and peer pressure and the things that will lead you to this, right? We chop the head off of this epidemic by educating the youth. And please, please take that action to go and speak at the State House, rally around events like this in the community, and raise your voice. But I got one more piece, is that all right? I need everybody, including our amazing first responders in the back, to do this with me. Every time I say IMA, I need everybody in this crowd to scream miracle. Can you do that? I didn't hear anything from you guys. IMA. I do this in middle school, and middle schoolers get a lot louder than that. I'm a little upset with Foxboro right now. I'm sure you guys can get louder than that. IMA. 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 A beautiful soul, living, breathing, standing on stage, screaming out for joy. Not only was I lucky enough to make it to this beautiful place, so was my little girl and boy. We're given a once-in-a-lifetime chance, so stop saying I can't when faced with any obstacle. Because lately I've been feeling unstoppable, so don't tell me to give up on my dreams, that what I'm trying to be is impossible. I'm possible. I destroyed every negative thought of mine, outside the box thinking, reopened my mind, made it through the darkest nights just to see the sunshine. Just to see the beautiful smile of my sunshine. These aren't stories, I literally bleed across these lines. Even if I died, still breathe inside these rhymes. And when those miracles are hard to find, faced with hard times, screaming up to heaven, please show me a sign. I remind you to leave all of your problems behind, that you were designed to be a miracle. IMA. They say you can't be this, you'll never be that. You're never gonna escape the shackles of your past. Take everything about you and throw it in the trash. They try to break you, like I put my fist through the glass, smash. Don't ever listen to what they tell you. You can't do. Ignore whatever point they're trying to prove. Say to yourself, I will not lose. Then the drive and determination will rise inside you like the fire burning with the heart of a lion that's roaring inside too. You are beautiful. Just don't let the negativity ruin you. They couldn't fit into a pair of your shoes. So if you've been staring at this world from a difficult point of view and those gray skies refuse to be blue, close your eyes and say, I am a miracle. I'd rather build people up than break them down, because I know what it's like to almost drown. I hit rock bottom and there wasn't a soul around. An angel put their ear to my chest and they couldn't hear a sound. And then I rose like a giant phoenix and that heartbeat was found. It's a miracle that I'm standing here right now. I am a miracle. I am a miracle. I am a miracle. Don't you ever forget you're a miracle. Thank you guys for listening to me. Chris, I appreciate the opportunity to share with you guys. And one more time, I really challenge each and every single one of you to raise your voice and try to create that change. Because every day we're losing somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's father, somebody's mother. And it takes raising our voices and taking action. It's not just about talking, it's about putting in the footwork. And we need to inspire that change so, like, we're not losing anybody else. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's just, we really, really need the community to stand up all across Massachusetts, not just in Foxboro. But I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share. Thank you guys for listening to me. Everybody have an amazing day.
Really good stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate it. So, as you know, just under 8,000 lives are represented over a 4-year period of people that have lost the battle to the epidemic. Certainly not forgotten are the people who have lost their lives before or since. My hope is that moving forward, our collective mindset is to end addiction and to do it together. It takes a village. It takes the whole village. We've rallied together before as communities. We need to continue to do it. I just want to thank a few people before we bring up Justin. I want to thank the Foxboro JCs. I want to thank Chris, Perry Long for everything. Linda Walsh, I want to thank all the volunteers who were out here last week helping to get the flag set up, and the volunteers who sacrificed their time in other ways to help make this event happen. This is the first year of the Stakes Are High. So I encourage everybody after the event, to follow up on our Facebook and our website, stakesareHigh.org, for follow-ups, for photos, and for information. This event does not stop with today's event. There's a lot more work to be done. We understand that. We hope that when you guys leave today, you continue to be a part of the fight as you have been. So thank you very much. Our good friend, singer and songwriter Justin Clancy agreed to come out to do a special set. So let's give him a round of applause. And thank you all very, very much.
Hey, how's it going, guys? First and foremost, I want to thank you all for having me. Make some noise for Chris for putting this together. This is such an amazing event, and it's such an important message and such a powerful message. And secondly, make some noise for yourselves for being here in support of this. So my name is Justin Clancy. I am a singer, I am a songwriter, I am a national recording artist, and I am also a person in recovery. So I say that because, by the way, if it's okay with you guys, I'm gonna tell a little bit of my story, and then we're gonna get into the songs, if that's okay? Yeah? Okay, cool. So I am a person in recovery. However, that does not define who I am. Who I was does not define who I am today, right? I may be an addict in recovery, but that's not all that I am. I'm also a son. I'm also a brother. I'm also a friend. I'm also a musician. I'm also all sorts of things. And that's because when I was 19, I made the decision that drugs are no longer cool, man, and they were ruining my whole entire life. My life had become unmanageable, and I am very proud to say that I have not used a drink or a drug since December 21st of 2013. I look out and I see all these flags, and I'm extremely heartbroken. Through being in various support groups, AA, NA, numerous community living environments, treatment centers, and also being a touring musician, I've met many people that have died at the hands of this terrible, terrible disease that has taken all of these lives. And I look out and I see these flags, and I think to myself, I've easily lost 50 to 60 friends as a direct result of this disease. And that started when I was about 17 years old. I lost my first friend to this, and it hasn't stopped. I'm 24 now today. And those aren't just people that I knew. Those are people that I knew personally. And there's a couple up here that I actually had known personally. And it breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart to see this. However, we gotta live for them. We really do. I sometimes have to recover for them, for the people that didn't have that chance. And sometimes that's what keeps me going, and that's what keeps me fighting, and that's what keeps me in this fight, you know? One thing I want to say is that, like, the obsession to use is lifted after some time, right? We come around and we follow the suggestions, and we do what we got to do for ourselves, and we better ourselves. And one day I came to the conclusion that, like, I no longer wanted to use again. I can safely say that I haven't felt like picking up a substance in a couple years. But, like, I say that just because, like, if there are parents here whose children are, like, new in recovery, or, like, they're just starting to come around, like, it gets so much better. It gets so much better for you. It gets so much better for the kid. It's just a matter of, like, just holding on, because there is hope. There is always hope. Hope never, ever, ever dies, right? Hope will never die, man. Through being in this process and through being a young person in recovery, like, I'm still able to do things with my life. Like, I'm not isolated to a church basement for the rest of my days. And I feel as though that might be that might be something that's commonly misconstrued by the public is that, like, when you enter recovery, you are doomed to this mundane lifestyle of just, you know, going to work, going to a meeting, going home, going to sleep, and maybe if you're lucky, you might get like a dog or something. But no, like, recovery has given me opportunity to go and like really chase my dreams and like do what I want to do. Like, I have freedom from active addiction, but I also have freedom to be myself and freedom to chase my dreams and freedom to do whatever I want to do. And like, hopefully, like, me saying that gives something to you guys. Like, nothing can hold you back from your dreams ever, no matter what, right? It's all a matter of just going for it. They say every day is a gift, but it doesn't mean that that gift has to be a pair of socks, you know? So, with that being said, I think we're gonna get into some music. What do you guys think? All right, so has anybody ever heard of me before? Justin Clancy, has anybody ever heard of my music? Make noise. Oh, nice. And if you haven't heard of my music, you can find me on like Spotify, Apple, iTunes, anywhere music is streamed. You can stream it. My first record that I'm about to sing for you guys is a song called Work in Progress. I got you. You wanna? Yeah, can you hear me good? They say what's broken can't be redeemed. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I'm a work in progress, and it's a beautiful thing. You gon' get to where you're going, just keep doing your thing. I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. Make some noise for yourselves, by the way. Yeah. They say Rome wasn't built in a day, and a soul ain't a soul if the spirit didn't break. Life is like a maze, and I finally found my way, but it wouldn't be the same if I didn't feel pain. I do the best imitation of myself. I swear y'all know me better than I know myself. It took a million baby steps just to get to where I'm at. Isn't it a crazy story that time tells? I earned my stripes through trials and tribulations. I learned the best teacher is being mistaken. No silver spoon, just patience and motivation, cause nothing ever comes easy when you're on your way to greatness. And I ain't even getting to the best part yet. As long as my intentions are pure, I'm all set. They see my pencil shavings and say, what you call that? I tell them I'm just sketching out my self-portrait, and it's a work in progress. Say what's broken can't be redeemed. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I'm a work in progress, and it's a beautiful thing. You gon' get to where you're going, just keep doing your thing. I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. Now I ain't perfect, baby, I can't lie. You gotta take the good with the bad sometimes. I'm only human and I may fall short, but if you don't accept your flaws, you never gon' shine. I was at war with that man in the mirror. I wanted more from that man in the mirror. Yeah, and I was lost for so long, but someone said, hold on, young man, your journey's just beginning. I'm in between a saint and a sinner, a loser and a winner. I got the same lows, but the peaks are higher than ever. Forever I'll be grateful for second chances I'm given. The past will always be there, but the future is still unwritten, and you know. Yeah, they say what's broken can't be redeemed. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I'm a work in progress, and it's a beautiful thing. You gon' get to where you're going, just keep doing your thing. I'm a work
work in progress.
So originally I came into the set, thank you guys so much. Originally I came into the set, right? And I was like, oh, we're at a park, like I should probably do some like really mellow stuff, but like I came to the conclusion that like that song is probably the only song that I have like on my catalog that is directly centered around recovery. I mean, those that are in recovery, I have like little inklings and stuff in my music that you might understand. But like I really wanted to do something a little slower for you guys, but it's like almost 1 o'clock and I feel like we should all wake up. It's 1 o'clock on a Sunday, right? You guys want to have some fun? I don't believe it for 1 second. I said, do you guys want to have some fun right now? So normally when I do shows, right? Now the three of us, Tyler, make some noise for Tyler on the drums, by the way, right? And make some noise for DJ PB Kid on the 1s and 2s, right? So we've toured and we've played the better half of this country and we've played everything from, you know, shows in Florida to we played House of Blues in December, and you know, most of our sets are very high energy, right? So you guys want to have some fun for real right now? All right, so I need some crowd participation. So when I say, how you doing? I need everybody to say 100 grand. When I say, how you living? I need everybody to say 100 grand. Can y'all do that? Yeah. All right, we're gonna do a couple tests now. How you doing? 100 grand. How you living? 100 grand. Nah, I need you guys to be much louder than that. I said, how you doing? 100 grand. How you living? 100 grand. Faster, how you doing? How you living? All right, I guess we'll work with that for now. It's okay. You want to turn this all the way up? Yeah, okay. How you doing? How you living? How you doing? Faster, go. How you living? How you doing? How you living? 100 grand. How you doing? Faster, faster. How you living? 100 grand. How you doing? Okay, yeah. You. Isn't it funny how they said I wouldn't? Now I'm coming for everything I deserve. Someone tell the brother, they told me I amount to nothing. Yeah. Now everybody want a piece of the pie. They say, oh man, that's a jam. Drop it, the money dance. Take a pocket full of 5s and 10s for like 100 grand. How you doing? 100 grand. How you living? 100 grand. Everything's 100 grand. I ain't no gambling man, but I would bet my bottom dollar I got what it takes to make the whole dang city hotter. I want the roof on fire. Light up, under pressure, but you won't see me perspire. I rise up, I got the world in the palm of my hands. I couldn't stop that. Who'd have thought a rose would glow from the darkness? I fell asleep and when I woke up I was on this. Now everybody that hated me like, oh man. Funny how they said I wouldn't. That's why I make some noise right now. Oh man. They used to tell me I'd amount to nothing. Yeah, nada. Isn't it funny how they said I wouldn't? Now I'm coming for everything I deserve. Like someone tell the butter. They told me I'd amount to nothing. Yeah. Now everybody want a piece of the pie. They say, oh man, that's a jam. Drop it, hit the money dance. Make a pocket full of 5s and 10s for like 100 grand. How you doing? 100 grand. How you living? 100 grand. Everything 100 grand. Gonna feel better this time around. I got my weight up when it gets the game just to show y'all what I was. Homie, if this was always, you'd have thought I was playing. Everywhere that I go, they say congratulations, son. Somebody told me, get it how you living. My teachers thought I'd be dead or like my father up in prison. Overcame the statistics, so every day is a celebration. Now don't it feel like 6 figures? 6 figures. Isn't it funny how nobody loved me? Wow, I was sleeping on a couch at my buddy's house. Yeah, I was down and out. I'm on the come up now. I'm on the come up now. Isn't it? Nobody loved me. Wow, I was sleeping on the couch at my buddy's house. Yeah, I was down and out. I'm on the come up now. I'm on the come up now. Isn't it funny how they said I wouldn't? Now I'm coming for everything I deserve. Like someone tell the brother. They told me I'd amount to nothing.
Now everybody want a piece of the pie. They say, oh man, that's a jam. Drop it, hit the money dance. Make the pocket full of fries and dance. Feel like 100 grand. How you go? 100 grand. How you live? 100 grand. Everything 100 grand. Don't it feel like 100 grand? I said, don't it feel like 100 grand? Yeah, okay, now hit the money dance. Yeah, I said, don't it feel like 100 grand? One more time, yo. How you doing? 100 grand. How you living? 100 grand. How you doing? 100 grand. How you living? 100 grand. How you doing? Woo!
Thank you guys so much. I'm having fun. Y'all having fun? So, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm convinced that music saved my life, especially being young and in recovery. And if it wasn't for music, and if I didn't have this outlet early on when I first got clean, this is something I've been doing since I was 8 years old, right? And through being in recovery and through being vigilant in my recovery, I found the way, and this has been my full-time job for the past year. And this is my last month in Massachusetts due to some amazing opportunities that I can't necessarily pass up. Come October, I will be moving to Los Angeles. And it's gonna be... And it's all thanks to this song that I'm about to play for you guys right now. This is what got me national recognition and hundreds and thousands of streams and views and stuff like that. And I'm extremely proud of this. Has anybody ever heard the song that I have called TV Dinner? Wow, wow. It goes a little something like this, right? Say, I've been trying to find a way to ease my mind, going back and forth, driving me crazy. Autopilot about to catch another flight, going nowhere fast, oh baby. And I am not your miracle, and I am not your Superman. It seems like everywhere I go, I'll be at the crossroads singing. All things that gleam and glow. Some devils don't have horns, some angels don't have souls. Caught in between two worlds, your heaven ain't my home, 'cause hell still got a hold on me. You got stuck, I can roll my sleeves up too. I've been spit on, kicked out, and beat up too. Only thing that cover the wounds are these tattoos. Trying to peek outside the windows of my stained glass youth. Now I graduated from the school of the hard knocks, where we grew up fast and tried to call shots. Instead of a diploma, we got a stopwatch, ticking time bombs till we met the palm pops. Now I'm a product of broken family homes, where television's the only parents we know. Cover my eyes from a childhood up in smoke. I'm waiting for my mama to come and carry me home like I've been drowning. I'm in too deep, but lullabies from the TV screen always seem to put the baby to sleep. Yeah, I've been trying to find a way to ease my mind, going back and forth, driving me crazy. Autopilot about to catch another flight, going nowhere fast, oh baby. I am not your miracle, I am not your Superman. It seems like everywhere I go, I'll be at the crossroads singing. All things that gleam and glow. Some devils don't have horns, some angels don't have souls. I'm in between two worlds, your heaven ain't my home, 'cause hell still got a hold on me. Yo, I walked through a ghost town full of burnt bridges, tiptoeing on eggshells, I had to learn quickly. I'm trying to let go of these masks, but they sure fit me. I'm trying to let go of the past, but I know it missed me. I'm from the city where dreams go to die. They build you up just so they can shoot you down. I'm just trying
trying to stay balanced on level ground, cause the drugs don't work after a while. I wish I could make you smile, but I'm all out of jokes. Wish I could stay a while, but I'm all out of smoke. So, adios, I'm going where the cold wind blows. I might be an open book, but I don't let nobody slow. I've been trying to find a way to ease my mind, going back and forth, driving me crazy. Autopilot about to catch another flight, going nowhere fast, oh baby. I am not your miracle, and I am not your Superman. It seems like everywhere I go, I'll be at the crossroads singing all things that lead and go. Some devils don't have horns, some angels don't have souls. I'm in between two worlds. Your heaven ain't my home, 'cause hell still got a hold on me.
Foxboro, make some noise for yourselves, man. So before I get into this final song, right, I just want to say real quick, this Friday, I have organized a show with the Recovery High School in Beverly. These kids have a expansive music program, and they've been working really hard all summer with rehearsals and making new songs and performing with their band. And they are performing on Friday at Sonia in Cambridge. So if anybody wants to come out and support some young people that are in recovery and using it as an outlet and using it as therapy to get through their high school experience rather than going out and partying and stuff, they would be more than appreciative if you guys go out to their show and watch them perform. I'll be there. It's going to be amazing. All the money's going to a good cause. All ticket sales and all merchandise purchases are going to be going towards, you know, better programs for their after school and, you know, school supplies for this year. It's for Beverly Recovery High School, if nobody heard me. These are all young kids. And if it wasn't for music, I would be personally dead, most likely. Yeah, I'd be dead. So, you know, these kids feel the same about music, so I really want to do whatever I can to support them. If you have any questions about that, please come see me after. I'll be more than happy to fill you in. So this next song I have is my last song, and I need everybody's energy. Can we do that? Yeah. Woo! Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We'll turn this gazebo into a Coachella set, right? Sick. How y'all feeling? Loud as possible. Woo! Say yeah! Say yeah!
I'll always tell it like it is, that's the bottom line. If you just live into exist, you on borrowed time. Don't ever let them take it slow, no, no, no. Don't ever let them take it slow, no, no, no. I'll always tell it like it is, that's the bottom line. If you just live into exist, you on borrowed time. Don't ever let them take it slow, no, no, no. Don't ever let them take it slow, no, no, no. Yeah, that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, yeah, that's the bottom. That's the bottom line, that's the bottom. That's the bottom, that's the bottom. That's the bottom line, that's the bottom line. I changed my life for the better. Started up with nothing, got a nickel from a penny. Hand down isn't in my vocab. I was always taught that if you want something, you gotta get it some. I'm gonna need some on the road to redemption. My soul is intact. Thinking about all of the times I was roaming and bumping. I know that I'll never go back. You say not earth and strike. Home with the fire that's burning inside. With the rules, so they show me they keep. No wisdom or all, so the monks and they fight. Run the drive, drop out, recovering that as a morning. They told me I wouldn't be nothing till I reach a minute for just a process. It's progress, no emotion. Since the key, but that door was open. Something like me, what I do now from where I was at is a foreign ocean. Lord, and all I ever did was stay true to myself. There's no way you can ever fly if you don't learn how to feel. So I tell, I'll always tell it like it is. That's the bottom line. How y'all doing? You guys still with me? You on borrowed time. Don't ever let them take it slow. No, no, no. Don't ever let them take it slow. No, no, no. I'll always tell it like it is. That's the bottom line. If you just live into exist, you on borrowed time. Don't ever let them take it slow. No, no, no. Don't ever let them take it slow. No, no, no. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Yeah, that's the bottom. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom. Everybody go clap, 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 clap. Just like that, go clap, 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 clap. Keep going.
Or what people think is more doing something that leads to your wrong soul.
Let's get it, Dan. So clap for me, from the front to the side and the back for me. I'm just following the plan God had for me, so I gotta be the man that I have to be. I'm a god amongst thieves, king amongst kings. Got the world at my fingertips, no 9 to 5, got a 24/7. I say I'm grinding, I mean that, man. I've been kicked down, I've been spit on, I've been down for my whole life. The legs were down at my heart, and I made my prominence so much, so Lord. And all I gotta do is stay true to myself. And when my future is gone, my soul will be here forever. So I tell you, and when those clouds appeared, I thought I'd lose my strength. I used to fight so hard just to try and break the day. And when that lightning came, it woke me out my grave. My soul still remains, 'cause the bottom line don't break. I'll always tell it like, yeah, yeah. The bottom line, yeah, just living to one bottom time. Yeah, never let them take it. I see you, man, in the blue shirt. I think it's red. You know, like it is, that's the bottom line. If you just listen to this, you are borrowed time. Don't ever let them take it. No, 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 don't ever let them take it. No, 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 that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Yeah, that's the bottom. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom. Thank you so much, Foxboro. You've been awesome. I had a great time. I hope you did too. Over there, I have merchandise for y'all. I got my album for sale. I got t-shirts for sale. Remember, you can be young and be in recovery and still do awesome stuff and have a good time and live a fulfilling life. Thank you so much for having me.
So that concludes the program for today. Thank you very much for coming out. Let's give one more round of applause for Justin and all the speakers. We'll see you next year. As I said before, a lot of follow-up, a lot more work to be done. So make sure you guys check out our Facebook for some photos, our website, stakesarehigh.org, and we look forward to seeing everybody very soon. Thank you very much. God bless. We have one more.